Welcome to another video. This is my January wrap-up and February TBR. I will show you what books I read this month and what books I plan on reading in February. This month I read 4 books that, follows the schedule of what I should be reading now that I want to read 50 books this year, which is like 4 books every month, and last year it was 100 books, so that was 8 books every month. But this is a little bit easier. In my little voodoo book, as I have right here, I have written down how many pages I read, and it was 758, which is a pretty low number, but it was a short, sweet month. It's a lot more non-stressful than it was last year, so that's great. The first book that I read this month was Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator by Roald Dahl. It was sitting on my shelf and I hadn't read it, and it's easy, small, and Roald Dahl is amazing and he writes really well. This one was a little bit trippy, as one of you guys commented on my Goodreads page. Truly enough, it is very, very weird. A lot weirder than the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And it's a sequel. And I don't really see a lot of... I'm not sure if it's the only Roald Dahl book that actually has a sequel. And not a lot of people know about it, so that's actually really fun. The second book I read was The Witches by Roald Dahl also. I hadn't read this either. I think I'd heard it read aloud once, and we talked about it in like 3rd grade in class or something. But I hadn't really read it myself, so I wanted to do that, and it was on my shelf, like Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. I really like this book. It is really terrifying for a children's book, though, and very like, oh, he probably got killed, like, well, no matter, I'm safe. Yeah, that's actually like paraphrasing a line. It's sort of really, really terrifying, and I can't understand that this is a children's book, but it is, and it's really fun and good. Of course, Roald Dahl is amazing. The next book I read was one that I don't have with me because it was for school, and that was a book called Ögneland by Henrik Kvist. And it was a book that was sort of written to be, sort of like another old text novella that we'd read in class. The next book I read was Looking for Alaska by John Green. John Green's very first book. This was an amazing book, and I mean amazing. It made me go from being a bit indifferent and, sort of normal like how I am now, to tears in 2 seconds right after picking up the book in the middle of it. I love this very, very much, and I cannot wait to read the next of his books that I have here on my shelf, because he writes amazingly and the stories like really make you think, and I really, really loved this. Like, this was my favorite read of the month, and I would recommend it to anybody. So now I have finally read something that is John Green, and I am very, very satisfied. Now we go on to the February TBR part of this show, and the first book. And I have picked 4 books that I want to read next month. The first one of those books is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien and edited by Christopher Tolkien. This is sort of, I would call it a Tolkien Bible, because it has like the beginning story and like everything you need to know about the first stage of Middle-earth, which I can't apparently say, like I've had trouble with it in the last like 3 videos. It's amazing. I'm already reading this. I'm actually a good bit of a way into it. A really interesting thing about what I am doing when I'm reading the Silmarillion, because the thing with the Silmarillion is it can be really hard to get through because it doesn't have a frame narrative. Now, I have done this, that I have been reading it a chapter at a time and reading it aloud to myself. And you really get a feel for how beautiful the prose is when you do that, first of all. And second of all, it makes it a bit easier, and it's really beautiful, and I like to read aloud. Also, after I've read a chapter, I listen to something called the Silmarillion Seminar, a podcast done by the Tolkien professor Corey Olsen. So if anybody has trouble reading the Silmarillion or wants to reread it, it's really good to read it a chapter at a time and then listen to this discussion he has with his listeners. It makes you really think about the book, and I really, really like that. To think, you know, it's sort of required in everyday life. So, this one is currently amazing. The next book I want to read for February is The Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval England by Ian Mortimer. I've been reading this since over like a year ago, and it's one that I pick up sometimes and just read a little bit of because I really, it's just sort of like relaxing reading, I think, and history, and it's really good so far. The next book that I plan to read in February is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. The Fault in Our Stars is, like, I think the newest book that he's written, and it's really popular and is apparently amazing, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. And there's a movie coming out, and there's a trailer, and I've been trying to avoid a lot of spoilers because I really want to enjoy this, you know, free of anything. And it's supposed to be spectacular, and I can't wait to start reading it. The next book that I want to read in February is The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. It's a little modern classic that's supposedly really good. My mother told me she really liked it, and I've also seen the movie in English class, and I liked it, even though I have my book and then movie policy. I couldn't really help it here, but it's made me want to read the book even more, and I can't wait to do that. Those were the books that I have read in January and that I'm going to read in February, and I hope that you will keep following and see in my February wrap-up if I actually held to that. Sometimes I don't. To answer a couple questions I saw in the comments, I just want to say thank you because some of them were really nice and called me charming and stuff, and I can't take that. That's just so making me blush and stuff, but yeah. Somebody asked what my origin was because they said they were sort of bad at detecting accents and stuff, and I can understand, I am too. I'm from Denmark. I'm Danish, and I actually speak Danish, but I don't really like to, which is why I do the videos in English, because come on, like, you want to speak about target audiences? This one's way bigger than the Danish one. Plus, the books are in English, so yeah, that's where I come from. It's the little country that you can see a small part of Denmark, maybe, outside of my window sometimes. Right now there are a lot of birds, and it's snowing. It was snowing, I think. Also, somebody asked where I got the sticker. That's on my computer, with the one ring, black, speech, text. Yeah, I got that from Etsy. They have a lot of cool stickers for your MacBook. Also, other Lord of the Rings ones if you want to get one. Yeah, so those are really cool. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So, bye!